Hello everyone, it's Nick here, and I'm delighted to bring you this two-weekly roundup where we look at the channel and see which games we reviewed and put them into some sort of order. Now, in the roundups this time round, we're starting a world tour. Yes, that's right, going to all different countries in the world. I bet you can't guess which country we're starting off at first. Yeah, it's Egypt. Yeah, good. I don't know what that says. It could be a load of swearing of all I'm aware. But as we know, Egypt, it's bordered by the Gaza Strip, Israel, Libya and Sudan. Has a population of 82 million, the longest river running through it is the Nile, and the capital is Cairo. Now if anything else comes up in the pub quiz, you're typically on your own. Now before we look at the top 6, let's have a quick look at the pinball games we reviewed this 2-week period as we gradually go through Season 2 of the magnificent Pinball Arcade by Farsight Studios. The first one was a Space Shuttle, a rather old game based around a space shuttle. But there's quite a few things to do on this one. You have to spell out the word shuttle by hitting lights and ramps at the right time. But basically the main thing which I found easiest to do is the multi-ball, where there's one ball lock one side, one the other, well left and right basically. Hit both of those, shoot the ramp down the middle and unlocks the balls. But not a great deal to it. It's a table from the 80s. And in the 90s they was going to get a big revolution, but good from a historical point of view. Space Shuttle, it won't suit everyone, people that are used to the 90s one. No dot matrix on this, it's pretty basic in that regard. And the second table we come to in the early 90s, a lot more going on this one, is White Water. Both of these belong to a pack in, what was it? Season 2, table pack 13, that was it, I almost forgot. You take part in a water park and you have to light up different rafts by hitting ramps and lights and completing different missions. Quite a nice ball lock down the middle there which shows an animation of a raft going down a cave. Lots of good speech on this. I'm not sure about it at the start where it says welcome to Wet Willies. That makes me a little bit nervous. But yeah, it's not a bad one, not a bad one. So yeah, let's show you a few of the sights of Egypt. I bet you can't guess which ones we're going to see. Yeah, it's the pyramids. The pyramids of Giza. I don't know what Giza built them, but that's irrelevant to this video. They've been there thousands of years. Some people say they're the oldest known structure of man built, if man did in fact build them in the first place. Some people think aliens built it, just like the Stonehenge. I don't know, I wasn't there. So let's have a look at the top 6 videos going from 6th to 1st, but they're not bad ones this time round. In 6th place, we brought you on the Commodore Amiga Moonshine Racers, published by Millennium in 1991. Now this game frustrates me quite a lot really, because the idea is absolutely brilliant. The idea is you're brewing illegal moonshine and must get it to its destination. If your car gets too hot or the moonshine gets too hot or you crash too much, your truck will absolutely explode. And all the time you have to avoid obstacles on each stage on the road and avoid traffic also. The police will come after you every now and again and try and bash you off the road to cause your car to explode. And all the time you're on a time limit ticking down. At the end of each stage you can go in a store and buy upgrades such as a better engine, turbos, better tyres and even furry dice. Now with that actually explanation of the premise of the game, you think, oh my god, Moonshine Racers must be absolutely awesome. And then you start playing it. It's not awesome at all. The problem is, it just moves so slow. I mean, it feels like you're a bit like Neo at the Matrix in that scene where everything slows down. And it just trundles along. I mean, the stages aren't that particularly difficult to complete. It does have good getaway music in between each stage every now and again. It's so bad. I mean, on some stages they put rumble strips in on the actual road. The only reason for that was, I can only guess, is trying to create a bit of illusion of speed, but it hasn't worked. So Moonshine races on the Commodore Amiga in 1991. Avoid that one unless you've got a secret way of making it run faster. But the normal speed of the game is, well, rubbish really. And in 5th place, this is going to be quite controversial because a lot of people really love this game, and I've already got some thumbs down on it because people like it, and I just give my opinion. And if I don't like a game, I'll say I won't conform to what everyone else says for the fear of getting thumbs down. You have to stay objective, or there's no point in reviewing these games really. We all have different opinions. So the 5th one then, after that amazing build-up, is Midnight Resistance on the ZX Spectrum, published by Ocean in 1990. It's a 2D scrolling military game, converted from the arcades, also come out on a number of other systems. But you control this military guy who must rescue somebody or other, I've forgotten who, but the same old storyline. The game doesn't scroll too well. It's at the end of the Spectrum's run, and it seems to be struggling the whole way through. The 128K version does have music. I played the 48K version, so I don't know if it does a bit better there. There's too much going on really on the screen to make quick decisions what's happening. The screen moves jerkily. It doesn't flow. It's, again, I can see it's another game that's looking to be excellent, but just fails because of the capabilities of the system really in this situation. And in terms of military games, I prefer the simplicity of Commando on the ZX Spectrum and on the Commodore Amiga Dogs of War, though they're not without their problems either. But Midnight Resistance, either love it or hate it, I'm not particularly impressed. By Ocean in 1990, and that's why I have it in 5th place. So in 4th we have Power Rangers Time Force on the PlayStation, now known as the PlayStation 1 of course, published by THQ in 2001, based I believe on the 9th series of Power Rangers Time Force, the USA cartoon. I know Power Rangers originated I think in Japan, so I don't know what it's based on. It's either the US series or the Japanese series, but I believe it's the US series. It's stage based. You can control any one of the Power Rangers. I can't remember their names, but there's a red, a pink, a green and a blue one I think, and a yellow one. Basically each stage is like a platform game, a 3D environment. It's not badly done with end of level bosses. At the end of each one you can select numerically the next stage, so you've got things like the different themes. You've got westerns, the high seas, various bits and bobs. You must collect bits of a time amulet or time portal in order to complete the game. It didn't really draw me in, only because I'm not really into the subject matter that much. I wasn't a big fan of Power Rangers as a kid. I was more into the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles really. So Power Rangers passed me by. So if you're really into the Power Rangers, then as I say, you might find a bit of excitement with this one. But had it in 4th, could have easily been 3rd. It's a bit controversial, the placings this time as always, but we have Power Rangers Time Force in 4th place. It's the Sphinx! Did you recognise it? Yeah, it's all very Egyptian, isn't it, here? So, what has made it to the top 3? That game in between is Lotus 3, by the way. It's in the desert. It's supposed to be Egypt. Let's pretend it is. In 3rd place, a very early game this one, but I put it in 3rd just for its ingenuity and pure nostalgia value. In 3rd place is Escape by New Generation Software back in 1982, and I haven't reviewed too many earlier games than this one. But it's a single screen game where you control a stick man and he must avoid dinosaurs in this hedge maze and escape. Basically he must collect an axe which is randomly generated on the maze. When he picks it up he moves a lot slower, and then chop down the blue door and escape, which is always in the top left. But when I played this again after some time, it just took me back to being about 7 years old I think. pure nostalgia. It's a wonderful game. If you hadn't played it with nostalgia value, you might wonder why I've got that above Power Rangers, Time Force, Midnight Resistance and the like, but you know, it gave me a really nice feeling, and I try not to, but I tend to mark these games from this era up a little bit. So Escape from 1982. What's good about this as well, you've got selectable options. You can have try and avoid one dinosaur up to 5. It gets a bit chaotic then with a flying dinosaur as well, but as a kid this really would have captured your imagination. And also as well, there's an option to break into the game and see all the coding, and back then it was all about writing your own games as well and learning about code, which I love. You won't have that on modern day gaming, PlayStation 4, PS3, or maybe ever again, possibly on the Raspberry Pi. And that's why it's popular really. But ZX Spectrum, that was all about programming, and maybe Commodore 64 as well. Escape. Now in second place is a game that came through a recommendation, and I didn't know it had come out on the Game Boy Advance. I thought it was just PlayStation 2 and the arcades. But it was Silent Scope by Konami in 2002, based on the arcade game, where in the arcades it's a shooting game. You must target people and villains mainly and shoot them. In the arcade you have a big sort of like gun you can aim like that, and it's instantly playable because then you can just point it at the screen and just pick off who you want. I was worried about how that would translate on the Game Boy Advance, because you've just got the buttons. Although it isn't perfect, it does work quite well actually. It's deceptively good. I mean, they've done a good job. The graphics resolution is okay for this. There was a control I was unaware of where you can zoom out to make it a bit easier, but I couldn't find that button. Silent Scope, where basically the premise of the game is various members, it's stage based, but various members of the president's family have been kidnapped and you must take out the baddies from a safe vantage point. There's an option to fight helicopters as well. And also as well, which is quite handy, which I completely messed up, there's a target range you can use for practice, where at the bottom it tells you the targets to hit, but I wasn't taking any notice of that and I was killing everyone. So that's that was pretty bad, so I wouldn't be employed as a marksman. But Silent Scope, it was a good recommendation. I'm glad I reviewed it. It's a good one, not bad, and well worthy of second place. So what does that leave in first place? The Sphinx is, oh, you don't know, he's lost his nose. But in first place, it's Metal Mutant on the Commodore Amiga by Silmarils, which I'm still not sure how to pronounce. That was published in 1991, also come out on the Atari ST. I first played this as a magazine cover disc and then got the full game later on. But essentially you've landed on an alien planet which high-tech droids have taken over, and you must defeat them all and rescue, I don't know, random person, insert here. But what's novel about this game, which is nice, the graphics are absolutely gorgeous. All looks a bit green to start off with, but your main character can transform into 3 different forms. You've got this rather cool looking cyborg first of all, which looks like the Predator from the film Predator. His second thing he can morph into is like a mechanical dinosaur, looks like some sort of Zoid or something. And the third one you can do is just like a robot tank, which looks a bit like Johnny Fire from Short Circuit. Each have different powers, each have to be used at the right point to destroy different baddies. But you scroll from left to right, complete each level, destroy bees and solve various puzzles, pick up upgrades to weapons. I didn't get off level 1 on this, but I might go back to it if I can find a cheat for it. But an absolutely lovely game. Atmospheric sounds. Yeah, I mean, I can't praise this one highly enough. So if you've got an Amiga, or even on emulation, you've got an opportunity to load up Metal Mutant, have a go at that one. I don't think it's a mainstream game. I don't think it would have sold many copies, but if you're interested in graphics and yeah, even level design, this one is a beauty. So that was Metal Mutant. So in the top 3 then, just to recap: third place Escape by New Generation Software, second place Silent Scope by Konami, and in first Metal Mutant by Silmarils. Silmarils, yeah. So that was fun, wasn't it? Not only did we do the top 6 roundup and have a look at those couple of pinball games as well, we learned a whole lot about Egypt, which I'm sure you remember. What's the capital of Egypt? Yeah, Cairo. Well done. Well answered. Yeah. So we saw all the best. We saw all the best things in Egypt. So thanks for watching as always. All right. Do you want to go? Do you want to go for a drink? Oh. Oh yeah. Till next time then. Goodbye.
Goodbye.